Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and today I'm going to be telling you all about the lowest rated books on my physical TBR. So the way I've decided on what is lowest rated is I've just gone on to Goodreads, gone into my unread physical books shelf, and I've ordered them from lowest rating to highest rating. And today I'm going to be looking at the 10 lowest rated books on that physical TBR. If you would be interested in hearing me do an ebook version of this, let me know down below in the comments, and as well let me know if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them. If you guys like this video, I'll also do a highest rated version of both the physical and the ebooks, although on the physical TBR there are a lot of just like books from series. I'm gonna go from the book with the highest rating and work my way down, I suppose, to the book that has the lowest rating on my TBR. So the book with the highest rating of this 10 is The Little Red Chairs by Edna O'Brien, which has a rating of 3.25. I've read a couple of this author's other books and I've really enjoyed them. He's a really well-known Irish writer, and this book is set off the west coast of Ireland, and it is about a faith healer that comes into a community and one woman who becomes particularly enthralled by this man. Not sure why this one has such a low rating. It sounds really intriguing to me. It sounds something that is ticking a lot of my boxes, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. And what I should mention as well is I do fully intend to read all of these 10 books that I'm going to be talking about. Like, I really want to read all of these. The next book has a rating of 3.21, and that is The Booby Trap and Other Bits and Boobs by Dawn O'Porter, or it's edited and put together by Dawn O'Porter. This is a non-fiction anthology made up of a bunch of essays and anecdotes. I think there's some comic strips and illustrations in there from a bunch of different interesting contributors, all about boobs. I think £1 from the sale of each one of these books went to the breast cancer charity Copperfield, which is a charity that I really love, and I love boobs. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. There are so many fantastic contributors listed on the front, and I was going to pick some of my favourites, but I love like all of these people. So we have Caitlin Moran. Oh, don't love Caitlin Moran that much. But then we've got Sarah Millican, Patrick Ness, Marion Keyes, Jamila Jamil, Chris O'Dowd, Laura Dockrell, Sarah Cox, Benjamin Zephaniah, Caroline Flack, Jenny Eclair, and Claudia Winkleman, and plenty more. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I don't know why it has such a low rating. To be fair, 3.21, that's not actually that low of a rating. Average. Although average is one of the most like sad ratings in my opinion. Like, you don't have any strong opinion either way if you give something like a 3 stars. Next up is another non-fiction book, and it has a rating of 3.2, and that is Raising the Dead by Andy Dugan. This is a non-fiction account of people in Scotland, I believe, that actually tried to raise the dead, like Frankenstein. I heard Jen Campbell talking about this book on her channel, and I realised that we had a copy in the shop that I used to work in, so I decided I would pick up a copy then. I'm really intrigued by this one. It sounds like a non-fiction book that is very up my street, and it very almost made it onto my non-fiction November TBR. Next up we have a short story collection, and that is New Irish Short Stories, edited by Joseph O'Connor. This also has a rating of 3.2, and I would imagine that potentially the reason for a slightly lower rating is that with a short story anthology, there's going to be writers and stories in there that you really connect with, but equally there are going to be ones in there that aren't particularly your cup of tea. I think it's sometimes quite difficult to give a rating to a book that has a bunch of different contributors in it, and that may be the case with the Booby Trap book as well. But this collection includes a bunch of really well-known Irish writers like William Trevor and Emma Donoghue. I think I may hold off on reading this one until March when we run the Irish Readathon again, because I think it'll be a great way to delve into Irish writers whose work I've loved in the past, but also discover some new names as well. Why are there so many Irish writers on this list? The next book I'm going to talk about has a rating of 3.15, and that is The Forgotten Waltz by Anne Enright. I've read 2 Anne Enright books in the past, The Green Road and The Gathering, the latter of which is one of my favourite books. And I'm really looking forward to reading another one of her novels. I think she's a fantastic writer. This one is set in a suburb of Dublin, and it is about the secrets that people hold. That's a recurring theme in Anne Enright's novels, you know, the things that we don't admit about our past. Novels are always so intelligent and quite literary, but without being confusing. I'm a huge Anne Enright fan, so I'm quite disappointed that this one has such a low rating. Another Irish writer, how disappointing. This is Bank by Emma Quigley, and this has a rating of 3.09, but it sounds like such an intriguing little novel. I think it's like a middle grade book, and it's about a young boy in school who starts like this bank in his schoolyard, but he charges like really high interest rates, and he basically like starts this business. It just sounds like really charming and lovely. I've been really into middle grade this year as well, so I'm really looking forward to taking this one off my TBR. The next book on this list is the Jane Austen Book Club by Karen Joy Fowler, and this has a rating of 3.08. This is a book about a group of people in America who meet, I think it's every month. They meet once a month to discuss Jane Austen's novels. And I believe like elements of the Austen stories begin to seep into their own personal lives. I've wanted to read this one for such a long time, but I wanted to have completed reading all of Jane Austen's novels before I did, and I will have that done by the end of the year. I just have to read Mansfield Park. The issue is that like I've had to make a real conscious effort to read Jane Austen's novels, and Mansfield Park was the one that I've been looking forward to the least, and I've left it to the end, but I will definitely have them read by the end of the year. I'm gonna do it. Then I can finally read this book. I'm really disappointed that this next book has made it onto this list, but it has a rating of 3.06, and that is Rachel B. Glaser's Paulina and Fran. I picked this one up fairly recently after it being on my radar for years and years. It's a very like Leanne book. I believe this is a book about two young women who meet at a house party. They're both quite artistic. It's a story about female friendship and female romance. Someone said to me recently that if you like Skins, the TV show, then you would really like this book, and I love Skins. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time, so I'm really looking forward to this book. That comparison between the two, it's made me really eager to pick this one up soon. The penultimate book on this list is Pamela by Samuel Richardson. This has a rating of 2.78, and it's the only classic on this list. Now, I can only assume that the low rating for this book is directly to do with some of the themes in it. I know this is a classic that I had a bit of trepidation in going into, because I think it has some stuff to do with a woman being captured but then falling in love with the man who has oppressed her. I believe there is rape in this book as well, so I assume the low rating may come from some of those themes, but I'm not sure. Maybe just a rubbish book. I'll find out. Even though I do have some reluctance in going into this one, I really want to read all of the classics that are on my TBR. It's a very long-term project, but I do not want my Penguin English Library books to just be decoration. I definitely want to read all of them, eventually. And the final book on this list, the book with the lowest rating, has a rating of 2.73, and that is The Case of the Imaginary Detective Society by Karen Joy Fowler. How disappointing that this is the second Karen Joy Fowler book on this list. But I do have a theory. So I've read two Karen Joy Fowler books in the past. One of them I absolutely adored, and that was We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves. The other book of hers I read was called Sister Noon, and I really didn't enjoy that one as much, and I think that's because I went into that book expecting it to be like We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves, and I think that may be the case with why these other two books from her have quite low ratings. I think people expected it to be similar to a really popular book of hers that they'd read in the past, but all of her novels seem quite different from what I can gather. This is about a young woman whose father dies, and she goes to seek refuge in her godmother's house. But there are a number of strange objects and slightly strange people that she comes across while she's here, and it's about her discovering more about her father's history and his past. So yeah, I feel like Karen Joy Fowler's ratings have potentially suffered because people just didn't get what they were expecting from these novels based on having read another one of her books. They are the 10 lowest rated books on my TBR. Let me know down below if you have any thoughts on any of these, and let me know if you would like me to do a specific wrap-up for these books when I've read all of them, because I do fully intend to read all of these books. I'm still really excited for them. Anyways, that's all I'm going to talk about today. Do share your thoughts down below in the comments, and I will talk to you guys in a few days.